Imagine that one day you turn on your computer and your mouse or keyboard is not working the way you program it. The scroll wheel is scrolling the wrong way and the macro buttons are not working as intended. You open the configuration app to check what's happening and you're greeted by a blank screen or a loading screen that's loading forever. That's precisely what happened to Logitech users on Mac a couple of weeks ago. The Logitech Options Plus and Logi G Hub apps had stopped working because of an expired certificate. Thousands and thousands of users were not being able to use their mouse or keyboards as they configured. Logitech quickly released a patch that you need to install manually. Still, it has made people reconsider whether they want their peripherals to depend on an app running on their computers. So, I think this is a great moment to explain why something like that could never happen to our devices, as well as the pros and cons of the solution we chose. Let's start from the top. Why couldn't the Logi Options debacle happen to us? The explanation is simple. Our programmable keyboards don't require an app running in the background to work. You use an app to configure them, but that configuration is stored in the keyboard itself. The main benefit is that you don't need to install the app on every device you want to use the keyboard. This can become critical if your company doesn't allow you to install third-party apps on your work computer, if you want to use the keyboard with phones or tablets, or if you need to use the keyboard on a computer that's not yours, such as a server or a remote desktop. You simply plug it in and everything will work as configured. Another benefit is that there is one less app running in the background on your computer, which can affect performance. It's also better for latency, since any processing occurs on the device's chip rather than through an app. It's also important to highlight that the customization options that the Logitech app offers are far more constrained compared to a fully programmable keyboard. You can only remap some keys, not the full keyboard, and the things that you can assign to those keys are also limited. That said, you can get a bit more functionality with other apps, such as Auto Hotkey for Windows and Carabiner or Better Mouse for Mac. Finally, if our app stops working for any reason, that wouldn't affect the keyboard. It would only affect your ability to reconfigure it, which is far less critical. Of course, there are some drawbacks. For example, Logi Options lets you easily assign buttons to launch apps. You can also do that with our keyboards, but it's a bit more cumbersome. You need to create a macro that would recreate what you would do with your keyboard. For example, on Mac, press Command Space to launch Spotlight, type the app's name, and press Enter. Another interesting thing you can do if you have an app running in the background is toggle macros. That means that you press a button and a sequence of key presses will run indefinitely until you press it again. That's not possible with our keyboards because the chips inside them have less processing power than your computer. That brings me to the last drawback. Without an app running in the background, you need onboard memory and processing power on the mouse or keyboard, which makes them more expensive. In our keyboards, for example, there is a Nordic RF52833 chip with a 32 MHz processor, 512 kilobytes of flash memory, and 128 kilobytes of RAM, which is pretty powerful for a keyboard. And I said that on the first take. We believe that the pros of our solution heavily outweigh the cons. Something like the Logi Options debacle would never happen to us. However, our solution could be better. You still need to install an app, and even though it's available for Mac, Windows, and Linux, there could be instances where you can't install it, like on a Chromebook or tablet, or if your work doesn't allow third-party apps. In those cases, you need another computer to configure the keyboard. There is a fix for this problem. Build a web-based configuration app that runs in your browser. This has the drawback that you need an internet connection to configure the keyboard, but it's convenient when you can't install the app. That is something we have tried in the past without success, but we'll continue exploring it. Not great success. We want to give you as many options as possible to configure your keyboard. And that's it. What do you think? Do you like that your configuration is safe in your keyboard and doesn't need an app running in the background? Or would you prefer those extra functions in exchange for the inconvenience of needing the app to use the keyboard? Let us know in the comments. Until the next one!